Hello, everyone. I am Dan Mason. Today, I am responding to more atheists' attempts to debunk ID. Let's address their statement with a rebuttal and clarify the distinction between debunking and offering a different opinion. I will also point out their errors in logic and apply intelligent design, ID, to the argument with empirical evidence to support my views on ID. So, let's get started. 1. Failure to meet the requirements to debunk ID. Atheists claim that ID lacks a measurable effect, verified mechanism, or specific designer. Thus, it amounts to nothing more than a catch-all explanation. However, this critique does not meet the standards necessary to debunk ID. Debunking requires empirical evidence that directly addresses the core claims of ID, not simply expressing skepticism. ID presents testable claims, such as the hypothesis of irreducible complexity in biological systems and specified complexity in DNA. To debunk these, you must prove that these systems could evolve through natural processes without invoking an intelligent designer. In contrast, your argument is based on the absence of evidence rather than providing evidence. This is a crucial distinction. Expressing doubt or pointing out what you believe is lacking does not constitute debunking. 2. How scientific theories have been discovered and reported. Scientific theories are formulated by observing phenomena, creating testable hypotheses, and conducting experiments to either support or refute those hypotheses. ID follows the same methodology by presenting the following testable claims. Irreducible complexity. This concept argues that some biological systems cannot function unless all parts are present, making it improbable that they evolved through gradual modifications. The bacterial flagellum is a classic example of this, which ID proponents argue could not have evolved through natural selection alone. It is an empirical claim based on molecular machines' functionality. To debunk this, you would need to show how the flagellum could have arisen through evolutionary processes. Specified complexity. The genetic code is an example of specified complexity, an information-rich system that directs biological functions. Information theory suggests that complex information systems typically arise from intelligent sources. Therefore, ID argues that specified complexity in DNA indicates design. To debunk this claim, you must demonstrate how random mutation and natural selection alone could generate such highly organized information. The scientific method applies to ID just as it applies to evolutionary theory. Both make testable predictions and offer explanations for biological complexity. ID posits that certain natural world features are best explained by an intelligent cause based on empirical observations. Atheists' assertion that ID is merely a catch-all hypothesis does not engage with these specific claims. 3. The difference between debunking and offering a different opinion. There is a critical distinction between debunking a theory and expressing a different opinion. Debunking involves providing empirical evidence that contradicts the theory's core claims. For example, to debunk the claim of irreducible complexity, you would need to provide evidence that shows how the system in question, e.g., the bacterial flagellum, could evolve gradually through naturalistic processes. Offering a different opinion means you may have a different perspective, but without the necessary evidence, it remains a speculative opinion rather than a refutation. Atheists' statements about the lack of a measurable effect or verified mechanism for ID reflect a different opinion, not a debunking. ID proponents present empirical data that points to the presence of design, such as the fine-tuning of the universe or the specified complexity in biological systems. Dismissing these claims without engaging with the data does not constitute debunking. 4. Pointing out logical errors and speculation. Without evidence, atheists' argument contains several logical errors. Appeal to ignorance. Atheists argue that because ID lacks a measurable effect or specific designer, it is not valid. However, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Simply stating that you don't see evidence for a particular designer does not debunk the empirical claims of ID. Strawman fallacy. Atheists reduce ID to a vague catch-all explanation without addressing its specific claims of irreducible complexity and specified complexity. This misrepresents the actual argument based on observable phenomena and testable hypotheses. By not engaging with the specific claims of ID, atheists fail to debunk the argument. Instead, atheists' response is speculative and lacks the empirical evidence necessary for a refutation. 5. Applying ID to the argument and providing empirical evidence. Now, let's apply ID to the argument with empirical evidence. Irreducible complexity. ID proponents argue that systems like the bacterial flagellum are irreducibly complex, meaning they cannot function if even one part is missing. This is not an assertion, it's an empirical observation based on the study of molecular machines in biology. To refute this, critics need to show step-by-step evolutionary pathways for these systems. So far, explanations like co-option remain speculative without clear evidence for how such systems evolved naturally. Specified complexity. The genetic code is an example of specified complexity, which contains vast amounts of functional information. According to information theory, complex, specified systems, like those seen in DNA, typically arise from intelligent sources. Such information-rich systems in biology support the argument for intelligent design. To debunk this claim effectively, critics must provide a mechanistic explanation for how this complexity could arise through random processes. Fine-tuning. The fine-tuning argument is based on empirical observations that the universe's constants are set within highly narrow ranges to allow life to exist. This points to intentional design, as slight variations in these constants would make life impossible. Alternative explanations, like the multiverse hypothesis, are speculative and do not provide empirical evidence that natural processes could explain the observed fine-tuning. Therefore, ID offers a compelling explanation based on our current data. 6. Conclusion. You have failed to debunk ID. In conclusion, the atheist's response does not meet the requirements to debunk ID because it relies on skepticism and speculation, rather than providing empirical evidence to refute ID's core claims. ID presents testable hypotheses based on observable phenomena in molecular biology, cosmology, and information theory. Irreducible complexity provides a testable hypothesis that specific biological systems cannot arise through gradual modifications. Specified complexity argues that the information-rich nature of DNA points to intelligent design based on information theory. Fine-tuning explains the precise nature of the universe's constants. To debunk these claims, critics must provide empirical evidence that naturalistic processes can account for these phenomena. Until this is done, dismissing ID without engaging with its evidence constitutes a difference in opinion, not a scientific refutation. I encourage atheists to engage with ID's empirical claims if they wish to provide a meaningful critique. Until then, atheists' arguments remain speculative and unsupported by the evidence necessary to debunk ID's testable claims. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the comments. Until next time, take care.